I'm Dr. Behzad Bernous, though many people know me simply as Dr. B or Dr. Bibi. Our guest today, Efaf, is a licensed marriage and family therapist whose path to healing work began through lived experience and migration. She moved to the United States in her early 20s as a software developer, drawn by opportunity, but quickly realized that writing code, while intellectually engaging, did not nourish her need for connection, compassion, or purpose. Seeking more meaningful ways to help, Efaf transitioned into nursing, where she found fulfillment in supporting people through moments of vulnerability. It was during her own therapy that a single question changed everything. Her therapist asked, "Why not become a therapist?" That question clarified what had always been true. Her calling was to help people heal emotionally and mentally, not just physically. Efaf went on to complete her BA and master's degree in clinical psychology, becoming a first-generation LMFT and opening her private practice, Efaf Ghayem Therapy. Her work is deeply informed by her personal journey, cultural awareness, and respect for the resilience of the human nervous system. She works with immigrants, physicians, military personnel, and families navigating trauma, anxiety, depression, and relational challenges. Her clinical approach integrates internal family systems, somatic, and EMDR, thoughtfully tailored to each client's needs and clinical considerations. At the heart of Efaf's work is the belief that healing happens in safe, compassionate spaces where people feel seen, understood, and empowered to reconnect with their inner wisdom. Welcome to Astana, Efaf.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, where should we start?
Anywhere.
Okay, so one of the reasons that we were so excited to have you here today is because of your expertise in working with trauma, specifically EMDR. But I don't know, is there any personal story behind that? We should start there, or should we start from EMDR straight? What do you think?
I'm okay either way, but I can start with my own story. I started therapy when I moved to the US in my early 20s. And I remember having some symptoms that I thought they're more like physical and medical. Doing all the tests, going to different doctors to make sure like what is going on, why do I have these symptoms, and all the results were okay, you're healthy. And then that was the moment that I figured that it could be emotional or mental. So I started therapy, and I noticed that the symptoms were mostly anxiety and depression, and they showed up like somatically in my body too, because my body was holding it too. And then in therapy, I learned a lot about myself, and it helped me to come back to who I am underneath all these anxiety and depression. I learned that those symptoms are not just symptoms, they're carrying a message for me. And the message usually, like, instead of seeing it as a problem, the anxiety or the depression, see it as a protector. So there is a reason that they show up. There's a reason that you feel those sensations. They're carrying a story, a message. And then I loved learning all about them, even though it wasn't like the easy process. But then underneath that, I was like, okay, now I know what should I do with this. I know my story, and how can I help myself, because I still feel like my body is holding it. And then that was the moment that I started thinking about some trauma therapy and EMDR. That's when I thought about it, and I started doing that. And it helped me to kind of like release the tension that these protectors were carrying, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, this trauma that you're referring to, was it in any way related to the migration?
It was more intense. Like it's kind of like triggered it, because I lost my community when I moved here.
Yes.
All of a sudden, nothing was familiar, right? So maybe the depression and anxiety was there, or the protectors were there growing up, and then being in this environment made me feel it more.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a big deal. I mean, there are a lot of times we might ignore the fact that how big of a traumatic event migration by itself is. Especially, you said you were in your early 20s. So you were a kind of fully grown individual in a culture with a lot of friends and connection. And then all of a sudden you come to a new environment. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It was a lot.
But I'm glad that this actually you turned it into something positive, not only for yourself, but for all of us and the people that are getting help from you.
Yes, and I'm so grateful for that because I moved here as a software engineer and I was writing codes all the time, and I felt like, oh, this is not nourishing my soul. And I want connection, I want to help people. And I thought about nursing. I was in a nursing program and then talked about it with my own therapist back then. And he told me, he was like, why don't you think about becoming a therapist? Because there's a part in you that is so compassionate, which is the higher self probably, that wants to take care of people, but it doesn't have to be just physical. It could be all of it, mentally and emotionally too. And he gave me that courage to think about becoming a therapist. He saw that in me, and I'm so grateful for him too. And that's when I started studying clinical psychology and then find my niche, which is working with people with trauma.
So I'm assuming maybe a big part of the group that you work with might include some migrants as well, right? Because this is something that you have lived experience.
Exactly. I love working with them.
And there are different therapeutic approaches for treating trauma. But I'm assuming that your therapeutic approach of choice is EMDR.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about it? Because these days, you know that everybody is so interested in learning more about EMDR. And who's better than you to give us some idea about, okay, what is EMDR and how is it helping people with trauma?
Right. So I have different approaches to trauma. I do IFS and EMDR depending on the client's need and their capacity. I can talk about EMDR a little bit, but mostly when I have a consultation with a client, I make sure that this is going to benefit them. If they're not ready for EMDR, we're not going to do it until we know that they are ready for it. Their nervous system is ready for it. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It was used for PTSD, but now we use it for depression, anxiety, mood disorders, and other disorders. There's doing studies on them, and people benefited from them. If I want to keep it very short, I would say it will decrease the reaction, the emotional reaction of the event that you went through. And that event can be something that happened to you or someone else. It could be a memory or an image.
Yeah. And I would like to just interject here because I think what you mentioned is really important. In old time, in DSM-2, 3, 4, we had a different definition of trauma. DSM-5 started adding more to this, and this vicarious experience is also can be traumatic even by witnessing things. And these days with the access to social media and YouTube and all those footages that everybody's sharing, the chance of people getting traumatized in a sense is increasing, right? So that's what I thought to just add this here because I think what you're referring to is very important.
Yes, and thank you for that because I have clients that come to me and they're like, I don't know if this is trauma because this didn't happen to me. I'm like, it could have the same impact. If you hear the story from someone going through it, if you watch a video, or if your parents or your sister, let's say, went through it and they told you about it, or you saw how they dealt with it, right? These are all can impact you and that can become your trauma. And trauma can be small t trauma, big T trauma. There might be some events that kind of like continue happening to you, and you don't even know that was trauma. It was your normal life until you got out of it,
Exactly.
until you come to therapy and we're like,
That was not normal.
yes, or you deserved better.
Exactly. And normalization is one of the biggest issue we deal with a lot of people in order to, and it comes from a good place in their heart. They have to survive it. Some people dissociate, as you know. Dissociation is big deal with trauma. Some people tend to normalize it.
Right.
And it's for us to just in therapy, just remind them, look, that was terrible what happened to you. And I'm so sorry. That was not supposed to happen. And that is just the beginning of just opening up and revisiting. So you were telling us about the EMDR and how it's helping the individual coping or maybe treating their trauma.
Right. So in therapy, we talk about the issues, the symptoms, and everything. And then in your mind, in your brain, you know what happened to you. But then the body part, like what your body went through, it's still there. And we might be aware of it or not be aware of it. We might get triggered in different situation and be like, why am I reacting like that? Right? Why my body feels these sensations maybe. And that's where EMDR can help you. I would say it's more like helping you finish processing what happened to you, because it's like an open file, and maybe we didn't close it and put it in the past. I still carry it with me.
And in what way, as you're saying, it's very interesting for me. I'm curious, in what way EMDR is different than allowing you to process it, the bodily aspect of the experience, compared to other modalities?
The good thing about EMDR is that it's not just one approach. It's somatic, which means that it notices your body's responses when you go to that memory in a safer space. The different thing about EMDR is like it can have all of the modalities together, right? So it's somatic, it's relational, it's systematic,
Yeah.
and
Desensitization.
yes, and it kind of like covers your background, your history, your the environment that you were born and grown in. So you don't have to like tell me the story or justify it or prove me anything. We will just go to that memory together and help you process it so your body can feel safe.
And the way you said it, you're absolutely right. As now I'm thinking about it, it even has some gestalt in it, the way you pay attention. It has DBT in it, in a sense. DBT is newer than EMDR, I think. The aspects of mindfulness in it,
Exactly.
right? So, but one thing about it is that I think it's important for people, if they're interested, is that there is this theory behind it that by bilateral stimulation, we're going to help integrate the different aspects of the trauma. In a way, we try to help the both hemispheres communicate maybe more efficiently. Is that fair way to say it?
Correct, yes. So the bilateral stimulation can be the eye movement or tapping. That, again, you have to prepare the client to get to that point. We don't go straight to EMDR reprocessing. So as you mentioned, the DBT and mindfulness will be done to make sure that they have the internal and external resources, because we might get triggered. It
Yeah.
might be heavy. So you're not reliving the trauma. You are just trying to reprocess what happened to you and allow your mind and your brain and your body to feel safe again.
Yeah. So the thing is, and I'm just curious, and I love to run it by you and see what we can come up with, is that my understanding and the research that I have read is that the most important factor about healing trauma is reprocessing it. And reprocessing it with the presence of someone and a safe environment and being prepared, being calm, right? But then one thing that is not, as far as I researched, I haven't seen any specific data to show that the eye movement has anything to do with the efficacy of the treatment, because The research I've seen that, we have TFCBT, for example, trauma-focused CBT, or systematic desensitization, or exposure therapy sometimes. It seems that they all work in a different way because you help the person to process the trauma by talking about it, remembering it, and expressing the feelings that maybe was not at the time clear for the individual. But what I'm curious is that in your line of experience, because you're doing it, and sometimes you use eye movement, sometimes you might not even use the eye movement, and you might use tapping, right? How do you see the impact? I'm just curious, impact of the tapping or eye movement in helping the person processing this. I know you're helping the person to reprocess by talking about it, explaining what happened, what feelings they've experienced, right? While they're doing this, you also help them move their eyes or tapping.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is that to see, because I haven't done, I am not an EMDR therapist, but I want to know the impact of these tappings or eye movement.
So I can see how their body changes, like even like how they swallow their saliva, or the way that they move their body, or the whole time I'm observing them, they have those reactions. You can see the responses of the body in that moment. So in that moment, I can see that is working for them, but then after that I will check in with them and see like the impact of this tapping or the eye movement. I usually ask the clients what they prefer. Do you prefer tapping? Do you prefer eye movement? Because sometimes with people with ADHD symptoms, they prefer not doing eye movement, and it's better to do tapping. So it really depends. But the impact of it, it's the message that you're sending your brain, like using the both side of your brain to reprocess that memory. And that will help you to decrease your emotional reaction to the event or that memory.
Yeah. Makes it, maybe is it safe to say it makes it a lot more tolerable as they're doing this? Maybe a part of brain is engaged in doing this bilateral, while another part, the higher, cortex is explaining the memory. So maybe my assumption is maybe it makes it more tolerable for them to talk about it.
They feel safe reprocessing it. So one feet is in the room with me when they do the EMDR, and then the other feet is in that memory. And we want to make sure that the client is still with me, because when they were in that event, they didn't feel safe.
Yes.
Their body maybe froze. So we want to like help them to reprocess that and then come back to this safe environment that I'm holding. And then the whole time I guide them, and they don't have to talk. They only go to the memory and...
Oh, they don't have to tell you the feelings that they experienced?
Not while we're doing it. So
it's internal?
Yes. They can share with me after, but in that moment, I try not to talk or validate, because I love validating my clients. But with EMDR, I have to be like, no, let them just reprocess the memory and be with that memory, because if I say something, it might take them out of that memory, and we don't want that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, but then you would intervene, I'm assuming, if you notice the person is getting overwhelmed with that reminiscence.
Exactly. So before we start EMDR, I will tell them, what do you prefer? So it's very safe for the client, and I would allow them to lead it. I will guide them through it, but they can we will come up with a sign that works for them, that if it's too much for your system, I trust your system, just give me a sign. It could be stop, or it could be vocally asking me to pause. And I will do that, because we want to respect the system. We want to trust it. So if they get overwhelmed, they can just pause me.
Okay, so they do not necessarily tell you the details of the events or how the feelings were developed at the time, nor they would talk about how they feel about it, remembering it now. It's all internal.
Correct. So Before we do EMDR, I ask so many questions about what are the current symptoms, what were the events, and I do all the like assessment, right? And then while we do EMDR, I ask them to go based on the information that they gave me and the memory that they would like to work on. We will go to them, and then I ask them to do like listen to my voice and go to that memory, and then pause. What do you notice now?
In your body.
Anything.
Okay.
What did you see? What do you notice now? I don't ask so many questions. We just ask, what do you notice now? And then let's say they say, oh, I'm opening that bedroom door. Okay, go with that. And then start tapping again. And then pause. And it depends on how fast or slow they should tap. I will tell them. But we keep it just like that, like with that instruction, nothing else. Like I don't add anything, no validation, no extra questions, so they can be with that memory.
But before they start this, do you have any way of preparing them for it? At the beginning, like maybe doing a mindfulness?
Yes.
Okay.
We help them to go to their calm place before starting EMDR. We do psychoeducation for like a window of tolerance. What happens if we get super overwhelmed, or if we, like get numb or dissociate, or what happens when we're super anxious, like fight or flight. And we help them, we give them tools, and we remind them before doing EMDR that remember about those tools we talked about, please feel free to use them. If things get overwhelmed, you can pause me or you can go back to your calm place. And EMDR is not just a technique that I use, it's something that I experienced it myself too. I use the techniques that worked for me. So I know what happens during that, right?
You've
And
been there yourself.
Yes. And I remember when I did EMDR, at some point I got overwhelmed. And I had my calm place. I know where that is because they told me about it. And I took myself there. And I was feeling okay again. And getting overwhelmed wasn't that as scary. I just felt heavy because the memory was heavy. But yes, that's what I mean when I say we prepare the client before.
Very important.
Yes.
Very interesting. Now, this is fantastic. Now, I'm just curious, is it possible to do this in a group setting?
Yes, they do EMDR group therapy. There are some training for that the therapists will do it for the group.
And I think it's really important because as you and I were talking before starting the recording, is that how do we apply this for bigger community, for our, everyone, so we can help more people? And how do we heal the trauma of the collective trauma?
Exactly.
Right? For example, we are at this time, as we are doing this unfortunate events with the Iran and the war and everything, a lot of people are really traumatized.
Right.
And we can see it, right? And I always ask the question, okay, how can we help our community? I know part of us in Astana, as you know, we have, kind of communal events. We get together, we do things like holding space, having different approaches, our colleagues doing in Astana. But in a sense, my goal is that how do we apply this to the bigger group?
Right. So when I do EMDR with clients, I tell them that this is not the only thing, that you're not broken to just fix it and be like, okay, I'm done. You have to do more. You have to find your tribe. You have to find a community. Because when we are with the community, if it's about trauma, let's say if we do EMDR group therapy, knowing that other people are going through it and we're in this together will be healing. So healing, or if people think that, oh, there is a part of me that is broken and I have to fix it, that's not true. You're not broken. There is a part of you that needs your attention, needs some connection, and you can find that connection first with yourself and then others. I remember when you had the movie night about, the movie was about grieving, right? And then afterwards, when we were talking about like how we experienced it individually, helped us to feel closer to each other. I didn't even know their name, but I felt like I'm connected with them emotionally. So it is very important.
Very important because healing in the group is totally different. And I guess maybe for us coming from a collectivistic background, we always feel it missing here because it's here so individualistic, which has its own merits. Of course, it's good. It allows the individual to grow. But my goal has always been, can we just, bridge the gap and practice both of them? Because as you mentioned, the beauty of those events we have is just when we sit together as a community in a circle and we feel that support. We might disagree on so many things, but we still have each other and we hold each other in that space. And that's why I think it's very important. And the movements that therapy has really moved into this approach of considering the body side of things, the somatic side of it, started from Gestalt and gradually evolved. And I'm glad to hear that the new modalities are bringing more of it together.
Right. And that's exactly what we do. We encourage them to connect with their community and do some somatic movement. Because again, there might be some stories that we're holding in our body that we can't even say it, or we don't even know what it is. So those movements, the community, trying to find a space that will, there are people that you can trust that will hold that a space for you. Because we tend to, as you know, we tend to isolate ourselves when we're traumatized or when we're grieving. Because I already feel heavy. I don't want to come to you and tell you about my pain to make you feel bad. I will feel bad that I'm making you feel bad, right? So the community helps you to know that, oh, it's okay to share. This is a safest space to tell people what I'm going through and hear them too and connect in a deeper level.
Very important. What you mentioned is on a daily basis, we see that how much, unfortunately, there is the shame attached to the trauma. Makes it really complicated. That, oh my God, this terrible thing happened to this little one. And then now there is a shame attached to it based on the unfortunate events, right? And maybe wrong parenting a lot of times, that they even put a blame on this. I mean, you and I see it on a daily basis. But this is really great. And you do provide that in you have a private practice and you provide therapy for, I'm assuming, different cultural backgrounds as well.
Correct. And I noticed that in some cultures that, let's say Iran, if you were born and raised there, or if your parents kind of like born and raised there, there's always shame around everything almost, right? And we have to kind of like go through that and then do the trauma work, because the shame part is an exile. And the other symptoms that you have are kind of like protecting that exile so you wouldn't feel that pain again. So let's learn about that. Let's learn about their stories. So that's how deep we go when the client is ready, of course, when their nervous system is ready for it. And yes, I do trauma work. I work with depression, anxiety, PTSD. My clients are mostly like physicians, military personnel and their family, students, immigrants.
It's good that you mix it because I've worked a lot with veterans and I've had people that I'm talking about, like a veteran from Vietnam War, still for the past 40 plus years. This guy hasn't been able to sleep at night. And then they said that they were put into EMDR, but they were forced into doing it within 6 to 12 sessions. And they were shocked because they said that I was not ready for it. Came to me, we worked, 200 plus sessions gradually. But what you mentioned is that you make sure the person is ready to start EMDR.
Right.
But I think a lot of people do not necessarily follow that guideline.
Yes, I have some clients coming to me and they see that I do EMDR, and there is a part in them that still wants to do EMDR, but they are scared. And then I ask about, like, what is this a scared part telling you? And in their last experience with the therapist jumped into EMDR. So there was no therapeutic relationship enough. And they jump into that memory. And while the client was dysregulated, they were like, oh, time is up. And now we have to repair that,
Yeah.
right? I want them to trust me. And I always tell them, thank you so much for trying this again based on what happened to you. You could have been like, I give up. I don't want to do any trauma work. So thank you for your courage to give it another chance. And I want to be patient with you. I will check in with you. Even like before doing EMDR, let's say next week we will do EMDR. I still check in with you on that day. How are you feeling? Do you even want to do it today? Because I can wait. There's no rush. We don't want to force the nervous system.
Well said. And I think it has a lot to do with who you are as well. Because your energy is so soothing and calm. You're very, calm, and you carry this with you. And I think it's absolutely necessary when you work with trauma. And I know it's heavy working with trauma. And I'm sure you do your self-care. But the way you carry yourself, the energy that you have, I think, and your approach, I'm really glad that you're doing this, because I've heard stories like that about how shocking EMDR has been, because maybe they have limitations, I'm sure. If they work for VA, they have limited time, the contract is limited, but it should not be that we try to fit the person within that 6 to 12 framework that we have.
Right. I will teach them some tools to ground themselves instead of doing EMDR if I only have 6 sessions, because I don't want them to feel worse in therapy. But that's me, that's my approach. I have some clients, military clients, that they don't want the insurance know what they're going through. So they come and see me without using their insurance, because the insurance has this limit sessions, and also they can access maybe
Yeah.
the diagnosis, maybe because they want your diagnosis to make sure that it's okay to see this client, right?
Yep.
So yes, unfortunately, those limitations are not helpful. I offer intensive EMDR because that 1 hour that the insurance allows you to see the client might not be enough, because there is a cluster of memories coming up in that moment with some clients. So I offer that so they can see me maybe like for 90 minutes to reprocess that memory, so they still feel safe and they're not rushed or forced to do more.
Glad to hear that. I personally ended up, I stopped working with VA because they were on their case. How come this person is not getting better? You've seen him for this many sessions. I said, this person has been traumatized since Vietnam War, 40 plus years, and you expect the person to get better within this number of sessions. So
Yeah.
unfortunate, but the thing is that it's good that I'm hearing that you try to find ways to work with them, prepare them for what it is they're dealing with, and also, if necessary, in a sense, extend this to what would really serve them best.
Right.
Great. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. This is great to have you. So you also mentioned you use internal family system. Would you like to, because I think it's fascinating. IFS is really interesting too. And how would you like to talk a little bit more about maybe
Yeah.
IFS, the way you use it?
There is an approach that it's IFS, EMDR IFS, so it's like a mixture of 2 modalities. I usually check in with the client to see what their capacity is. Do they even need EMDR or IFS or DBT? So in my toolbox, I have different approaches and I check in with them. How do you feel about this modality that we're talking about, 3 or 5 sessions? Do you feel like you're connecting with it? If not, we can use something else, right? So internal family system is something that helped me in my personal life, and I love using it because it's healing. And then EMDR is usually after IFS. So I help the client to learn about their internal system, about this family, whole family that they have.
And basically, to just give a quick understanding for people who are not familiar, in a sense, we say we internalize all the people we grew up with inside ourselves, and there are parts of them within us active, that they sometimes autonomously doing things that we might not be aware of it. So we internalize our family
Yes.
inside. I usually use the analogy that it's like a computer for every person that we meet, and important people, we create a folder and we start saving files into it. And after a while, these folders are pretty complicated and they start, in a way, interfering or if at times even helping, but they are within us. Is a whole constellation of multiple.
Have you tried IFS?
My approach actually is more object relation because I do more psychodynamic, psychoanalytic. Honestly, I have biases because object relation analysts believe that IFS is redoing object relation but label it differently. But let's leave it at that. But object relation, Melanie Klein said the same thing, that when we have people, we internalize them, and then we internalize them sometimes based on if it's good and bad, and we can integrate. We could even split it into good mommy, bad mommy, right? Good daddy, bad daddy, and things like that. But that's the same premise.
Right.
But I've studied IFS. I really like it. I think that it's a progression from object relation to IFS, but it's for sure very useful on a daily basis. And I would like to hear your take because that's, it's more about what you do.
Yes, so I tried it for myself. I studied it, and there was no connection at first. But then the more I learned about it and I was trained in it, I found out that, and here is my definition of internal family system. We are all born with higher self. We have it in us. But sometimes we cannot hear it because our parts are loud or super active. The goal in IFS is to have the higher self lead, be the leader. How can we do that? To learn more about each parts of us, to know that we don't have any bad parts. The parts got their role, their job, because something happened at different ages. And then because I didn't have the coping tools in those days, that part started to protect me so I can survive. Let's say I was 5, something happened, I was dysregulated, I didn't have any tools, or my parents didn't even know what tools are because they were dysregulated themselves too. So that part was created, had this job to protect me so I can survive that stressful situation. And we grow up with those parts. And at age 30, let's say, the part still thinks that I'm that 5-year-old kid. So I have to go learn about their stories, meet with them, befriend them, and unburden them maybe one day whenever the part is ready, because we don't want to force the parts. Learn about their stories and remind them that I'm 30, I'm not that 5, I have this wisdom, we're okay, we're safe. And that's exactly what we do in EMDR too. Something happened in the past, it was horrible, and your pain is real, but we're safe now.
Yeah, and maybe what worked at that time is not working anymore. Because when I was 5 years old and there were some injustices happening, I found a way to cope with it. Maybe it helped at the time. That was the best I could have come up with. But now that I'm 30, 40, whatever, the situation has changed and I don't have to continue repeating the same approaches that was working at the time.
Right.
There are other ways. But being aware of this is very important. I think that's the key, in a sense, what we're talking about. I think that's where I like finding the points that everything connects. And I think that's what the goal of therapy from beginning, as when Freud and Jung started it, was that about change. And is about remembering things of the past. And if necessary, being aware of our own inner dynamics and make corrections. Because a lot of things that happen to us needs to be updated. It's like even our cell phones needs to get updated every couple of months. So our operating system, a lot of times we're still using the operating system that we wrote at the time when we were 6 years old.
Yes.
While things have changed. But but being aware of it, and I think IFS, what I really like about it is that make things clear. That puts it into different points, puts a name on it, puts a character on it, makes it a lot more, it's more, how would I say it, understanding, more integrating it easier, versus maybe at times the way that psychoanalytic or object relation explains things, is not as easy to grasp it. But what I like about IFS is that it's easy to grasp it, to get it, to understand it.
Right. And I started therapy because my therapist had psychodynamic approach, and I think it was needed. And then get to the IFS because they're all related to each other. And they all helped me. So it's not just one approach will fix it.
Absolutely.
It's just learning about me and coming back to who I am underneath all these parts.
And whatever works for us, right?
Right.
That's why we have so many different approaches. And at the end, we all are doing the same thing. We're trying to help people to get better, to grow, to become aware of their own hidden aspects that maybe are hindering their growth.
Right.
And trauma, speaking of trauma, I wanted to share this with you, the way you said, if you even hear about it. I can attest to this, that unfortunately I had a lovely cousin in Iran, and I was told several years ago that she was murdered in Iran. And they told me about the details of how they killed her at her house and left her there to die. When I heard that story, I remembered that I got flashbacks. I felt devastated that I was not there to help. She was like my sister. How could I not be there? How could she have been alone? And all the details. I clearly remember I was traumatized for a long time, not even seeing anything, just hearing about it. But my imagination, the need of being there for her, and because I was not there, start to developing scenarios and details that might have been even not accurate.
Right.
But my imagination worked against me, and I was traumatized for a long time till I really worked on it. So I want to attest to this, that we have to be careful how much we expose ourselves to media, to news, and or how much we disclose certain things maybe.
I totally agree with you. And again, there were some clients that they had this image based on what they heard, and it can be so real and it can impact you daily that we go and do some EMDR around that. And that's exactly what is happening right now in Iran when we hear in news like the sexual assaults, the rapes, the torture. Automatically, I myself try to create an image, right? That they are in pain, that they're being tortured. So that can be traumatizing too. We have to be mindful about what we watch. And even if we want to watch it, talk about it with someone. So you don't have to like keep it all in. Because again, it can impact your mood, impact your physical body over time.
It is. And as you said, there are so many horrific images and videos we see that it's really, as you were saying this, I'm sure you had that, so many of them started popping up in my head, what they did to people or they're doing to people, what's happening. I mean, from any angle you look at it, and this is a good part of us that is being hurt because we are empathizing with them, right? We are just trying to be there for other people. But then I guess this is an interesting topic, that how do we feel good about ourselves as a human being, empathizing, not being so self-centered, but at the same time not damaging or hurting ourselves.
Right. And that that's what I do for myself, acknowledging what it is, what is happening in my body as I'm watching this news or video. What is happening in me? Let's pause and check in with myself and then validate myself that, of course, this is painful to watch. I wish I was able to save them, right? And then kind of like have a space between you and the video that you're watching. And it's not selfish to do that. It's just the way to protect your mental health, that I don't want to blend with it. Can I just observe what is happening? And it's okay that you're not okay with that, right? But I don't have to blend with that situation.
Very good point. This is so important. I want to make sure we focus on it. that while you're observing something, you're making sure that, yes, this is not happening to me right now, and it's happening. It's a terrible thing that is happening, but I'm not in it. So you, in a way, as you said about your clients, one foot in there, one foot in reality here.
Right. Right. And I tell my clients that look where your feet are when you tend to get overwhelmed or get blended or dysregulated. Always look at your feet and come back where they are. Maybe with a breath, maybe by reminding yourself that I'm here, I'm alive, I'm okay, I am safe. And then use that energy, if you feel like this is selfish, use it to be there for them, to support them. Like for me, when you mention EMDR therapy for a group, that's my goal.
Yeah.
That when Iran is free, hopefully soon, I will do EMDR group therapy in my country for my
Wow.
people.
Beautiful. Can't wait to see that. Wow, that is so beautiful. I'm glad we are also having some good common dreams. As you were saying this, I feel this is great because group, I think the way you explained it, I would love to see more of the group, EMDR in a group, and maybe taking the advantage of this moment, maybe we can have a workshop or something that you present here for us and for our community to, in a way that, the way we have different workshops for yoga and mindfulness, everything. I would like to send an official invitation for you anytime you would like. We would love to have you here having a workshop, helping us, helping the community, not only to connect, but with that, caveat and that touch of EMDR. I think it would be a lot more helpful,
For sure.
right?
I'm in.
Beautiful. I'm glad. Wow, this is so good. It's so good to have you here
Thank
today.
you.
It's amazing. Okay, so I think we talked a lot about therapy. How about some of your own personal experiences working with these heavy cases? Because these are heavy, as we talked about it.
Right. About work and feeling burnout, we were trained. When we complete our hours, our supervisor help us to learn more about this career and how to be prepared for it, how to take care of ourselves. And then self-care is something that we keep saying it, but practicing it is very different. And when I need to practice it, right? Do I want to get to that point that I'm feeling horrible and then do some self-care, or do I want to do it before getting to that point? And I learned that lesson when I was a therapist, that I don't have to push myself to get to that point. I can check in every day with myself and be like, what is your capacity? Are you practicing what you're preaching with your clients?
I think you do. I was checking your social media. I saw beautiful images. You do mindfulness, meditation, right?
Yes, I love Reiki. I love mindfulness. I do that, not in therapy, obviously, but there's separate things that I do for my heart. And yes, I enjoy being in nature. I always love doing like nature therapy with some of my clients. And yes, I do those sort of things. Those are my self-care routines.
Good. So nature therapy, I remember for a while people were working on it. It was very promising, but for some reason, I don't know why it never really reached to that. I saw so many, even in our community, Iranian American community, I saw some of our colleagues started doing this, that, like hiking, taking groups to nature. It was very good, but for some reason, I think COVID happened.
Maybe.
And despite the fact, but it's really something interesting, isn't it? Have you done it yourself?
I have been part of that group, and I also did it for some of my clients,
How did you
like
find that? Did you
individually.
like it? Did you see good results with it?
Always. It's something that I'm also receiving as they are receiving. This connection with nature is always healing. And that's another thing, community, connection with nature. It's not just therapy.
Healing, because we're talking about trauma.
Right.
So we need to also talk about the healing elements that we already have maybe available to us.
Right.
Mountain, rivers, nature, right? So mixing that together with therapy
Yes, and I want to say that not just for trauma, for any symptoms. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed with work, with our kids. Just go connect with the nature. Just lie down and do nothing and listen to the birds and see how you feel after.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really good. So you do practice that for yourself as well, in order to make sure with the heavy load of
For sure.
trauma work that you do.
Yes, my own therapy, taking care of myself with like being outside, because again, therapy, especially when you work from home, can be isolating too. So I make sure that I get outside, get some sunlight, talk to people, connect with people, because that's also important.
Yeah. And I think, do you think that the background that you were also part of nursing, right? You wanted to become a nurse and then you switched into therapy. Do you think that had anything to do with you being so much more aware of the, you know, psychosomatic aspect, the body?
Yes, and I believe that if the mentally we're okay, that can help our physical body. That's what I learned in nursing and therapy. If I take care of myself emotionally and mentally, my body can feel it.
Hmm. I'm glad liking what I'm hearing, because you're saying mind over matter. And these days in philosophy and even physics, is a lot of movement just putting in that it's mind over matter, not just matter over. It's a consciousness creating everything, not just that a consciousness is the byproduct of the brain. So in a sense, our consciousness, our mindset can impact our health,
For sure.
which is a win-win, right?
Hmm.
If we could.
Exactly. And in therapy, I tell them that it's not about mental and emotional, it's body and mind. So when we're done with our therapy session, because we do some deep work, I want you to focus on basic needs, which is drink lots of water. Because when you do trauma, it's very important to stay hydrated. Nourish your body with good food. Make sure you're connecting with your body. And if the relationship with your body is not perfect or good, it's okay. We can work on that too. And then get enough sleep.
Mhm.
Because it's a body and mind work. It's not just working on the mind and the brain.
Yeah. No, this is really good. This is fantastic. I appreciate that you shared all of this information. I am thankful that you came over here today and excited about what you said we're going to do soon with the workshop. And I would love to see bigger groups of EMDR and helping community. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Is there anything that you think we need to add to this?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for creating this a space for individuals and groups, because I love the events that you're holding, and I always receive something out of it. It could be a knowledge, it could be a feeling, so thank you for that.
Very glad to hear that. It's a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.